Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the MiscELENAeous podcast. I'm your host, Elena. We're in studio with producer Madelyn.
Hey,
woo, woo. And I'm gonna depress you for a minute.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry, but if it makes anyone feel better about it, I'm gonna depress myself, too. We're all in it together.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, I also sound like this today, so.
Yeah, Madelyn and I have both been a little ill. So prayers up for our health. Honestly, while prayers are being sent up, if you want to toss a few up for like my mental health, my emotional health, my financial health, anything you got, I'll take. But I do have a sad little update. Most of y'all probably know because you follow along on Instagram. If you don't, you better.
Yes. At Elena Davies, at MiscELENAeous Podcast.
Thank you so much.
On YouTube, make sure you download her podcast because it's the best.
It's the best. Thanks. And if you're listening, you already know that.
Yeah.
Duh. But tell your friends.
Yeah.
Here's, gosh, guys, I'm going to try not to cry, okay? But we did lose a very important part of the MiscELENAeous family recently. My precious little dog, Lily, went across the Rainbow Bridge to go play with Jesus and God and all her other past puppy friends. So it's been obviously devastating for me. And there are very few people online that even know what happened. I've obviously got a lot of love and support and encouraging messages, which is so sweet, and people asking what was going on, and I was able to respond to the ones I was able to respond to. But for those of you that are wondering what happened, I don't know, which is tough. It kind of started at the beginning of May. I had a big wedding weekend in Fort Worth that weekend and then got offered tickets to the Game 7 Stars playoff game. So cool. So I had Mama Grandma Eugenia watch Lily for a couple days since it was just easier to stay out in Dallas that night. And I had a busy week and I didn't want to just leave Lily, stuck at home. Mm-hmm. And whenever my mom dropped her back off, I mean, I just knew. I knew something was off instantly when she walked in my door. She was not like wagging her little tail, excited to come see me. I could just tell she didn't feel good. And my mom said, yeah, she's been a little lethargic for a couple days. And the next night, she was still just kind of, it didn't seem like she didn't seem like she was suffering or that she was in pain or anything completely off, just a little lethargic and kind of laying around more. And then that next night, I was taking her out potty, and it was like her back legs just kind of were giving out a little bit, and she couldn't quite make it, wasn't walking with confidence. So I obviously took her to the vet immediately the next day. And they were like, yeah, everything looks good. Really? And the second her legs did that and I got her back inside, I had a full breakdown. And it was just like I knew that we were at the end of her life. And this has been something I've been dreading and anticipating since like the moment she was my dog. I fostered a few dogs in college and then fostered her. She was the runt of her litter and needed to be separated from her little puppy siblings because she wasn't able to eat. They weren't allowing her to get to the nipple. So we separated her a little bit earlier from that litter, and I was able to, get her healthy and good. But I just knew she was my dog. And it's like the second you get a dog and you fall in love with a dog and it's your dog, you're like, oh, shit, fuck, man, damn it, you're going to die. Fuck, yeah. Shit. Don't you hate that?
Yeah.
But she was 13. So the last couple years, it's like more in the back of your head, And even with the vet telling me, yeah, my mom lives on like a little bit more than an acre, has a couple of younger puppies. She plays more out there. She's more active out there. Like, she's probably just a little sore. And I'm like, it gave me a little bit of peace, but not enough peace. 3 or 4 days go by. There is no improvement. Take her back to the vet. I'm like, draw blood. Is it cancer? What's going on? Y'all didn't do enough tests. You did one x-ray. Like,
yeah.
Like, fix my dog. And then they suggested she go ahead and get admitted to like emergency vet hospital. doing tests there. She was there for a couple nights. And she's 13. So they're doing a lot of tests. They're finding a lot of shit wrong because she's 13. So obviously there's health decline, but there was nothing outside of what would be considered normal for a dog her age to have some decline. Particularly none of those things were pointing to the symptoms she was displaying. And so she saw a little bit of improvement in the hospital. Well, yeah, duh, because she's like hooked to an IV. She's getting all this medicine. She's, there's hydration going in her body. There's morphine going in her body. So yeah, she feels a little bit better than she does at home when she's not, so I take her home. She doesn't really improve. She kind of improves for a second. And then the next day it's like major decline. We're back in the ER hospital. And at that point, this has gone on for a couple weeks now, and it's just clearly not improving. And it's just that day I just knew. I just knew that as we were driving up there, they were going to be like, we need to put her down. And that's essentially kind of what the consensus was. It's like, okay, we can admit her again and do all these same testings that we did 2 or 3 days ago and see if it changed. But that's not, they're like, oh, it could be this, but it doesn't really make sense. It sort of looks like this if you just look at this one symptom, but doesn't make sense. So just this true overwhelming anxiety and fear of something's wrong. I know it in my gut that something's wrong. Even like my support system, my friends like, oh, she's just sore. She's going to get better, and I just knew. Yeah. I just fucking knew that she was not okay. And so once we left that day, we pretty much had decided that that she just didn't have any quality of life. She wasn't herself. She wasn't getting any better. She was not really eating. She couldn't walk on her own. And we decided to go ahead and set up an appointment to let her go a little bit later in the week. They're really expensive at any vet hospital. So to do it there, it just would have cost hundreds more. And so we wanted to go to my family's longtime vet, even though it's not Lily's vet, where we've put our other family dogs down in the past. And, I have to be grateful a little bit for the timing around it because I travel a lot, especially the last couple of years. This could have happened on a big trip into Europe. My mom could there's a lot of things that could have happened where I couldn't have fully been there for her, or it would have been even more stressful. But my mom was able to stay with me and be there with me. And honestly, I needed the help. The last couple of days of her life, that's just awful because that she has a death appointment. Right. I'm like, okay, it's happening this day at this time. So you're kind of watching the clock go down, knowing that you have only a limited amount of time left with your dog who doesn't even seem like your dog. She's suffering, she's hurting, she can't talk to me. I don't know how to help her. And the last couple of days were bad. We'd have to carry her out to go potty. I'd have to hold her up to be able to go because otherwise she couldn't hold her own self up. She would just fall down into her own potty. Yeah. And just trying to get her to eat, try to get her to take this medicine. It was tough, but I also am grateful that I had kind of that time to grieve her while I was with her.
Yeah.
I just held her in my arms like a little baby for days until it was time, and we ended up moving it up a day and then moving it up a couple hours on that day just because the decline was so fast. And I was at that point where I was just getting worried. I don't want something more traumatic. I don't want her to die now, here if something, bad happens and it's more painful and more traumatic on her and then also on me. But she was just so sweet. Her whole life with me. That dog loved her mama, obviously. I love her. But do lots of kisses all the time. But when she does not feel good or she is anxious, we're going somewhere and she doesn't know about it, or she doesn't feel, I do not get kisses. I do not get kisses, and that it doesn't matter how hard I try. I'll be opening up her mouth, trying to put my mouth inside her mouth. Like, let me take your tongue out of your mouth and just wipe it on my face. She's not about it. But the number of times that I was holding her, and I will say this, I was a strong mom. I wanted to fucking lose it and break down so many times, but I know how much my emotions affect her, and she's already hurting. She's already scared. So seeing me like that isn't going to help her. So I had to step aside a few times to like get it out. But for the most part, I just held her and I comforted her. And I said, it's going to be okay. We're going to drive you to heaven soon. We're going to take you to heaven. You'll be with Jesus. You know, please come visit mama, like your little soul. Please come visit me. And we just talked to her and loved her. I said, just hang on a little bit. But anytime I would get emotional and start to tear up, the way she would just like so tenderly, and I'm sure it took a lot of effort, lift her little head up to look at me and just give me like the tiniest little kisses. When I know that she didn't want to, and she was just doing that to comfort me. She was simply just telling me she loved me. And then even once we got to the vet and laid her down on the little table, I sat down in front of her, kneeled down in front of her face. And again, I've never, in 13 years of having this dog, has she kissed me at a vet. Like, that scary place is hospital. I don't know where I am. I'm scared. I don't know these people. And like, just the tiniest little tongue and kissed me just a couple of times before she went to go see Jesus. And I'm like, the way that dog like loved me through the end of her life, while I was trying to love her through the end of her life, just so special. And also so hard, you know, like not being able to help her, not being able to like know that I'm communicating to her, that I'm trying to help her and that I love her. So bad. And then honestly, for quite some time after that, I was in some kind of variation of just absolute wailing, weeping, like visceral, like my heart physically hurts, to like some numb little like mute robot. Like my mom would be talking to me and asking me questions, and it's like I feel like I wasn't there. You know, I like maybe I'm starting to feel a little bit more like myself now, but like my house does not feel like a home. It just feels empty all the time. And it's crazy too, because it's like my instincts don't know that she's gone. So even the other day, I remember specifically, and this has happened in some variation a number of times, but I got up out of bed. I had to go do something, so I needed to take a shower, and I go into the bathroom and I just have a breakdown, and I'm just crying about her. I'm like weeping, I'm grieving her, but I have somewhere to be at a certain time. And so I'm like, okay, I need to go get in the shower now. And then I'm still actively sobbing about my dead dog. And I go, I need to take Lily out before I get in the shower. And then I realize I don't have Lily. And so then I kind of break down again. But it's like these instincts of mine to like care for her are so ingrained in me. It's what I've done for the last 13 years that, you know, it's like it still hasn't caught up yet. And then there's this extra icky sadness in the fact that like she's been my comfort for 13 years. She's been the only thing that's been there every single day and every single night for me. So every time I've struggled in like the depths of my depression and despair and heartbreaks and anxiety and fear and just daily stresses, like when I need peace, like I go get in bed and I hold my dog. I mean, I can think of times where I was months not okay, and I laid under a weighted blanket and I held my dog, and I held my dog. And now I'm so sad. I'm so sad, crying over my dog being gone. And all I want to do is get in bed and hold my dog, and my dog comfort me for her dying. And it's like some fucked up, weird cycle of grief. And, you know, it's just awful. But all that to say, I had 13 years with that girl. And I think a lot of mutts oftentimes don't make it that long. And so I have to be great. Even though I was like, I'm going to have 20 years. She's going to live 20 years.
Yeah.
You know, even a few months ago, I'm like, I'll have her for 3 more years at least, you know? Mm-hmm. I'm still grateful that I had her for as long as I did. And I've had so much love and support and kindness shown to me that, you know, obviously there's nothing anyone can say or do to take that pain away or to make it better, but feeling loved and supported and less alone and hearing stories of other people who have lost their babies, you know, it helps. And I've had so many friends send me lilies as flowers. My mechanic had flowers dropped off to me. I have a mobile mechanic and they dropped off flowers. Several other friends either dropped off or sent flowers, sent jewelry. I have a little lily necklace. I have a lily bracelet. Another friend sent like a little angel figurine holding a puppy.
Oh my goodness.
And y'all may be thinking I'm crazy for what I'm about to say, and that's fine. I'll allow it. But like I said, I held that baby girl the whole time, the last week of her life. And I said, please come visit me. Please come visit me. And the other day, there was something spilled in the dining room or something, and I went and got my little vacuum, and then I'm like, well, I'll just get all the little things I see on the ground. And I made it over to this area where her kind of food, I have an entryway table that also is like, you can open it up and there's food inside, and there's water bowls that are in a drawer you can pull out. And there's just a few pieces of like Lily's food on the ground. And I was like about to vacuum it up. And then I'm like, that's Lily's. I don't want to vacuum that up. And so I had like a little breakdown just crying about that. And then I went and sat outside. And right when I walked outside, I saw this beautiful butterfly come and land on a little bush in front of my porch. And it was kind of funny too, because it landed and it just was flapping its wings, but like very slowly. These beautiful like browns and oranges with a little bit of blue in the middle, flapping its wings. And it's like my heart rate, because my heart was kind of really beating and I was very anxious, I was very upset. Just instantly, my body kind of went at peace, and like I was breathing and my heart was beating like with this little butterfly there. And I went and just sat on the steps right next to this butterfly sitting on this bush. And I just decided it was Lily. I just decided that it was Lily. And so I just started talking to Lily. I'm like, I love you. I miss you. All this stuff. And it sat there with me for 15 minutes.
Wow.
And then I knew my mom was on the way to my house to drop off Lily, because we had her cremated. And so that she was going to bring me, her dog had a vet appointment that day. So she was just going to pick her up and bring her home to me. But I wasn't expecting my mom for another like 30 or 40 minutes. And I even sat there and thought like, man, I wish my mom could come and see Lily, because I decided it was Lily. And it's kind of funny because when the butterfly's wings were up, it just had them up. It looked like a leaf. The underside of the butterfly was just like a brown, dead-looking leaf. Mm-hmm. So you wouldn't even know it was a butterfly unless it's like, opening up its beautiful wings. And then my mom pulls up. And I'm like, how did she get here this fast? Like, it doesn't make sense. And so she was about to like get her dog she just picked up at the vet, and Lily, and come over here. And I said, don't bring Brutus, just come here. I'm sitting with Lily. She comes over and she kind of leans next to it and doesn't see anything because it's just has its wings up. And it had its wings up for probably 5 minutes prior to that. And the second my mom leaned over, it just started flapping its wings again. And so she said, it's Lily. And we just both talked to Lily for a second. And then she said, can I go get Lily? So I said, yeah. And she goes out to the car and gets her little box that she's in and walks it up to me and hands it to me. And of course, I'm like breaking down again. And the second that the box is in my hands, the butterfly flies away. Oh. And I was like, why did it leave? And she said, because she's here. She's home with you now. And y'all can think I'm a little crazy for that. Like, did my dog's soul re-enter a butterfly and come visit me? I don't know. But, like, there's something about that, though. I'm like, Lily sent the butterfly to me and sat in the yard with me for 15 minutes and let me talk to her in her yard. Every time I walk out in my yard now, I go, it's Lily's yard. And then literally the box of Lily was in my hands and the butterfly was gone. And, you know, that was another hard day in itself, having your dog be in a box. But at the same time, there was a little bit of peace because I just know, and I just believe that that was my dog loving on me. And now I have her back in my home and have a little bit of peace about that. But it's been tough, obviously.
Yeah.
I miss her so much, and I know it's probably never going to be something I'm like fully over. I just think like she was my soul dog. I don't know that I'll ever have a dog that's more perfect for me than that little girl was. But like I said, I have to be grateful for the way it worked out. I was able to be there for her. My mom was able to be there for me. And I had 13 long years. And
That's
I couldn't.
A good life.
It is. And someone actually said to me recently, Shay Shannon, one of the misfits, and I can't remember exactly the way she worded it, but it brought like happy-ish tears to my eyes. But that since I'm better, and it's like since I'm healed, and since I'm, you know, not to say that life is never going to be hard, because look at it being hard to me right now. Look at it.
Yeah.
But that like Lily was there for me for all of this stuff that I had to go through. And it's like she got me to where I'm good. And now it's like not that her job was fully done, you know, but she got me through when I really needed her.
Yeah. When
I really needed her, she was there for all of it. And now she can just be my little guardian angel who watches over me from heaven and hopefully sends more butterflies or whatever else that she can do to make me feel like I know she's near. And yeah, don't get dogs, guys. They die. I would say, like, moral of the story is as much happiness as it brings to you, it can really break your fucking heart.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
One of the hardest, like, realities to, I think, accept in life is the things that bring you the absolute most joy are the things that have the power to break you the most. And that can be with anything, you know, finding like your soulmate, your partner, the love of your life, having kids, having a pet, like, you know, if you have a really purposeful, passion-filled job that you're, you know, the things that you get so much joy and peace and happiness from have the exact same power to truly destroy you. Not to make it negative, because we deserve to have happiness and joy and peace and, you know, many cherished memories throughout our lifetime. And for me, that's always going to include little animals. Yeah. But just soak in every second you have with your pets if you've still got them, guys.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to be here forever. And it's a lot harder to cuddle a butterfly.
That's very true.
So true. So sorry for making everybody cry and myself. But for those of you that have cried with me on this journey and who've prayed for me and sent me love and encouragement, I truly can't thank you enough. It means the world to me, and it's brought me peace at a really devastating time. And, you know, I'll be okay because I ain't got no other choice. So
I think it's beautiful, though. Something similar happened with my childhood dog, is she just had a really quick decline. And hers was actually pretty severe. She had some seizures and different things, and it was
scary.
Yeah, very scary. And it was really hard because I think she was 13 as well. Again, for a dog, that's a great
life.
And she was a Shih and she had congestive heart failure. And when you hear that, you're like, what can we do? Can we fix it? Is there surgery? What does this mean? And but a similar thing happened is like, we went there and we put her down, and that was really hard. And when we walked out, there was another little Shih that like came in, and it came up and like ran to us out of this lady's arm. We were like, oh my goodness, what's her name? And it was like, her name's Angel.
Oh my gosh.
And it was like, I just started bawling.
Yeah,
because I was like, okay.
Because now your Shih Tzu's a little angel and she's still loving on you.
Exactly. And then our dog that we have currently was born like 5 days after our other one passed away, and we didn't get her until like the February after. But it's still interesting that like just 5 days later, another little one would come into your life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
and it's hard to imagine what the future looks like for me as far as animals go, because when my mom lost our last previous family dog, it was really her baby. She's like, I'm not getting dogs for I can't even imagine. And then 3 days later, she had 2 new puppies.
Yeah.
And it's not like you can ever replace them.
Mm-mm. But
there's something fulfilling about having someone greet you when you get home, being excited to see you. They need you. You have to care for them. And it gives you a little bit of purpose in the mundane parts of life. And every dog is special and unique and full of love. And you will always adjust and create a new normal and special moments with a new dog. But it's just hard to imagine what that even looks like. But I'm such an animal lover. And so I'm like, I can't, at the same time, while I can't imagine my life with another dog, I can't imagine my life without one.
Mm-hmm.
I think what will be maybe good for me is I had a foster dog for about a year that I just got adopted back in March named Serafina. And I had already agreed to watch her later this month. So I'll have her for about 10 days. And that's like a dog that I genuinely did nurse back to health. She had full body mange, found tied up to a tree. Like when I got her, she was covered in sores and in bad shape and malnourished. And I cared for her and loved her back to health and did so for a year. And so we have a relationship, and she's comfortable in my home and I'm comfortable with her in my home. So it might be nice to have another little puppy around the house for a little bit to love on and maybe see how I feel about that. And I'll probably get back into fostering again soon, because why not save some dogs' lives? As hard as that also is to like fall in love with the dog and be like, bye, have fun with your new life in Colorado. Like, I'll never see you again. I only saved your life. No thank you note.
Well, you never know. The foster could be you forever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You could find another one.
And I think that's probably how it will happen. So, I've got more puppies to love in my life, but I definitely have a hole in my heart now, and that's tough. But, it's fine. Because I don't have another choice but to be fine. I'm still breathing. Shit.
She was a sweet baby, though. I got to meet her a couple times.
She's sweet. God, she's perfect. Yeah. Oh, the most perfect little baby girl in the world. I love her so much. So anyway, pour one out for Lily today, and give your dog a kiss on the mouth, and then give them an extra one and tell them it's from me. And then foster dogs, adopt, don't shop, etc., etc. This podcast is brought to you by my dead dog.
Oh my gosh.
I will cry about it and make crude jokes about it in the same episode, okay? That's how I recover. I was listening to music on the way here, and this Tyler Childers song came on called "Can I Take My Hounds to Heaven?" I'm like, she better be there.
Yeah, I believe they do.
I mean, listen, I'm getting pretty strong in my faith again, folks. But one thing that will make me not believe in God anymore As if my dog ain't in heaven. It better be.
You get up there and you're like, turn it around.
I'm like, send me to hell, man. This is hell. Heaven without my dog is hell. So just send me to the flames.
Yeah, I think there's some people who are like, well, in the Bible it doesn't say blah blah. I'm just like, he created animals. I'm 100% sure that they're there. I just don't know where else they would be.
If God loves me, which I know he does, there is no way that I'm getting to heaven and Lily isn't sitting there with her ass up in the air, wagging her tail so fast it might fly off, ready to lick the living life out of my face and nibble on my lips and put her paw on my head to hold me down so I can't escape her love.
Yeah.
There's no way. It's either God loves me and that's the reality, or God doesn't love me. So these are my two options.
Yeah.
And
one seems more probable.
And one does seem more probable. I was going to say, and I truly, 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 genuinely believe that I just have to survive the rest of my time on Earth, which I'm sure I will, have a good time every once in a while I'm here. But that Lily will be there waiting for me, and we will be reunited one day.
Yeah.
Because otherwise that's just evil. So, anyway, thanks for listening to this really depressing episode. But Lily deserves this, and her legacy will live on forever on the MiscELENaeous podcast.
Yeah, and it's a safe space if you have stories of your wonderful baby. Well, maybe I don't send them. We don't want to be more depressed, but
don't make me cry more.
Yeah, but I think people just knowing like it's a very human experience to love an animal.
So many people have experienced this and gone through it and can relate to this, sadly. And there's always happiness on the other side of heartbreak, but it doesn't make the heartbreak any easier.
Yeah.
But that's why we have each other. That's why we have a misfit community to love each other and support each other and get us through the hard times.
And always look out for those butterflies.
And always look out for those little butterflies. So thank y'all so much for listening. Lily appreciates it. I appreciate it too. Make sure you're following along on Instagram at Elena Davies and the podcast, MiscELENaeous Podcast. We're on YouTube. Make sure you review. I've got merch for sale. Tons of ways to support me. So thank you so much. Stay the fuck tuned, and I'll see you next Tuesday.